Hello, Uncle Roddus here again. It's vinyl video time. Managed to collect enough items over the last month or so. I suppose it's been nearly a month since my last video. To make it worth me doing another video. There's not a lot happening, to be honest. I'm really sort of pulling back a bit, trying to keep some money together. Just trying to keep some funds and play, so that if we do go into, well, I'm not going to go into any more lockdowns by the looks of it, but yeah, I mean, I may, if I get Omicron, I may have to self-isolate around home, which I can't go to work. Not sure what funding's available if that happens to me, but anyway, got a bunch of stuff coming. Been playing on Trade Me. Got some auctions from Trade Me and stuff like that to talk about. But first of all, I'll quickly mention a bit about this. I jumped on this little box set. Kind of peer pressure got to me a bit on Facebook groups. So the toy recordings that Bowie did back in 2000, where he took a whole bunch of his early 60s, his 60s stuff that people don't really listen to that much, and they re-recorded them and did a really good job. And it came out as a three-sided record or a single record in the last Bowie box set. I was reasonably impressed. And then, of course, this thing came out. This is a 6-record box set, but it's on 10-inch. There are 3 tracks on each side. Basically, it's the first couple of 10 inches, I believe, are purely the same thing that's in the other box set, and then the other 2 sets are an acoustic set of the same tracks, and then alternative takes of the same tracks. So basically, just about everything, apart from a couple, are repeated 3 times and slightly different versions. So I'm really quite disappointed with that. I did get it a lot cheaper than it was going locally. I did manage to get it out of Amazon Australia just before they turned around and says, "Oh no, we're not shipping them to New Zealand." So I managed to jump on that. But yeah, I'll probably just stick to listening to the one in the box set and save that one, and be worth a fair bit of money one day, hopefully. So some Trade Me purchases. So this one here is what is playing in the background, and this is completely unknown to me until now. So yeah, it turned up on Trade Me. I had a look at it. I put it on my watch list. I wasn't the seller who I sort of know. I've met in person and met through Facebook, but, and bought a few records off him over the years. He advertised on Facebook another record, which I'll get to in a minute, and I was keen on bidding on that. But this one, I wasn't too sure what it was or anything. So Moving Lines 1 basically is what it's called. It's from 1987 out on Ode Records, Ode 279. There are 4 musicians involved: flutes, koa, I can't even say that word, whatever that is, drums, sampled percussions, bass, synthesizers, piano. Apparently this is reasonably sought after record. So yeah, never seen it before. I'm totally unaware of it. Picked it up for a reasonably good price. There were some people bidding on it, and I kept bidding and then managed to get it. But I got it for $50, $60 or something. I can't remember now. There are copies on sale for Discogs for over $200. So I didn't really look closely at the sales history. Anyway, as you can hear, it's kind of a laid-back, ambient, sort of jazzy, instrumental, really nice. I'm really enjoying it, actually. So, and then the other one that he had up on Trade Me, and I managed to pick it up, was this one, Homegrown. This is another various artists compilation. Now, Radio Windy. So I've shown in the last few videos some other New Zealand radio station compilations that came out, like the Radio Avon one from my hometown of Christchurch that came out in 1980. There was another one from the North Island, the east coast of the North Island, and I can't quite remember the name of it off the top of my head. I picked that one up, and this is the 3rd one that I've picked up in that sort of vein. So this is from 1979. Yeah, Radio Windy up in Wellington, I believe. I vaguely remember Radio Windy. I think they used to broadcast on the west, down the west coast of the South Island when I was a kid. Anyway, some of the bands on here, most of them I'm not familiar with, but the names of a couple, Bill Lake, who had been around for many years, and had played in some bands in the late 70s, and actually put out a record not all that long ago, still around. And then there was Rough Justice with Rick Bryant on vocals. Not a band that put a lot of music out, but were really well known and really like for a live gig. And Rick Bryant is one of, a New Zealand pretty famous kind of vocalist. Haven't listened to it yet. Like I say, this is I'm not sure how many more radio samplers are around. I mean, and the bands that they were putting out were pretty obscure. Some slightly interesting stuff on them. The Radio Avon one was probably the worst one, although there was some couple of cool tracks on it. Then the other one from the North Island had a few more tracks. This one, judging by the bands, might be the best of the lot. But now there are 4 volumes of a compilation series called Radio Tracks from around that era as well. Never seen one in a while. Seen them on Discogs and on Facebook. But yeah, they don't tune up very often. I'm not sure what the music's like on them, but I wouldn't mind getting hold of them just to add to those collections. And also on Off Trade Me, I picked this one up. Had to pay a little bit more for this. This is getting harder to find, and there are people quite keen on bidding on it. So Flying Nun's 10th anniversary compilation, double LP, lots of classics here. The Clean, the Shane Carter and Peter Jeffries, Randolph's Going Home. That's absolutely cool. Tall Dwarfs Crush, the Gordons, the Verlaine's Pyromaniac. That's one of their big ones. Rolling Moon from the Chills. Abel Tasman's, the Bats, there's just wall-to-wall classics. Flying Nun, really good compilation. Pleased to have that. I was bidding on 2 more compilations that week. This from another seller, not from this guy, I think. I did pay like 3 figures for this, unfortunately. But Flying Nun stuff is, as I've mentioned many times, getting really sought after and quite collectible. So I picked... I bid on this other 2, and one of them was a Flying Nun compilation, another Flying Nun compilation, which I don't have on CD, and it went for $257, would you believe it? I mean, and the stupid thing was it had never sold for anywhere near that much before on Discogs. So, yeah, just some people got into a bidding war and then just really went to town on it, unfortunately. But I did pick up this one. I mean, I've been after this for quite a while. This is a very early, and maybe one of the... I was going to say the first punk compilation, but it's not the first punk compilation. The first punk compilation in New Zealand, of course, was AK-79 in 1980. This is from 1984? Or no, it might be from 1981. I'm not sure. Hang on. Capital Chaos, so a bunch of Wellington punk bands. This is pretty raw. A lot of it's live. A lot of the bands never recorded anything else. Yeah, can't tell you what year, but I'm guessing it's probably 81, 82 now. So yeah, this has been on my want list for quite a while. Really pleased to pick it up. Again, I did pay quite a bit of money for it. It doesn't turn up very often. Never been reissued, although never been reissued because compilations very rarely get reissued anyway. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So really pleased to have it. So really pleased, more additions to my compilations. So I've been doing really well on the compilations fronts over the last sort of 6 months or so. Just a fairly new one I've jumped on recently. I'm not too sure. There's one nice track I heard on one of Chris Walker's podcasts a while back, and I quite enjoyed it, so I picked this up, their record. It's been sitting in my want list at Flying Out on their website page for a while, and I actually jumped on it because I think I mentioned in a video I bought that Alien Weaponry record, and I had one on pre-order, never showed up, so I cancelled the pre-order because I picked up another copy through the band and used that money to pick up this and another one, which I'm going to show in a minute. So this is kind of electro-y, poppy sort of thing. That, I haven't actually listened to it a hell of a lot just yet. But nice red vinyl there, so that's really, really cool. I think it's a guy and a girl that in the band. Can't quite remember now. Haven't played it for a bit because I've just been quite tied up with other stuff. But it's some interesting contemporary New Zealand sort of electro pop. And at the same time I picked that up, I jumped on this copy of this that they had. This is a compilation LP, reissue of a compilation LP. It's actually a reissue of an old cassette released in 1983 from a bunch of really early recordings from The Clean. So the actual LP was released way back in something like 2012 as a reissue on 540 Records. So I think that was out of the US. I'm pretty sure that was 2012. So yeah, originally released on a very lo-fi cassette back in '83 after, kind of right. No, it was just after they just kind of their first phase had ended and they pretty much had split up at that stage. This is a little bit disappointing, to be honest. The versions on here are way inferior to the versions that were released on their two EPs. I haven't listened to it a lot. It is very lo-fi. Great to have as part of my clean collection. So that's cool. It probably won't get a lot of play because I really prefer the original versions. Just a little break in the New Zealand stuff. Here's something quite interesting that I am quite enjoying. So one of the records that I've been showing you, and I can't remember which one it is, but the guy that actually it might have been that Flying Nun compilation, the guy that sent it to me used a couple of records like this as packaging reinforcement, and it's happened a few times. I've done that, had that happen before from Trade Me buyers. They got, some of these guys are record traders, and that's what they do, or it's a full-time hobby maybe. I don't know. And so I've had that happen before, where people have used old worthless records and sent them as packaging. I mean, I actually got a copy of the Who's Sellout like that. Unfortunately, the record was unplayable because I did clean it and have a look at it and try playing it, and it was jumping all over the shit. This one was really dirty, but I actually looked at it and I cleaned it up, and I'll tell you what, it plays really well. I mean, it's from 1957. And this is really, really good rock and roll. I'm actually going to keep this. I'm actually going to file this in my collection because I really am enjoying it. And it cleaned up really nicely. It was mainly just really, really dirty, covered in fingerprints. So I put it through the cleaning machine and it came out really nice. Plays really nicely, apart from, there's a fair bit of noise, crackly noise, but that gets subsumed by the music pretty much. So, yes, so what is it? It's rock and roll with Joe Houston and his Rockers. So I think this is the only LP he put out with these guys, but he put out a lot of other stuff. So he's very authentic rock and roll. As you can see, African-American saxophonist. Really rocks out. It's really good. I really like it. So I got offered a really cool purchase from a guy in one of my Facebook groups that I frequent a lot, and he knows that I'm a collector of old New Zealand stuff, and he has a record collection of older New Zealand stuff that is second to none, basically. I think in New Zealand he's got an incredible collection of all of the really old hip 70s stuff, because he's a man who's probably a good 15-20 years older than I am. Anyway, he offered me a copy of this, which I've been looking for a while, the In-Betweens. This is this one and only LP from 1976 on Key Records, and he said he had 2 copies of it, and he gave it to me for a really good price. He actually offered me a copy of the Golden Harvest LP similar the other day, but I already got a copy of that, and the copy he was offering, it was cheap, but it was pretty rough. This cleaned up pretty good, and it plays pretty well. I mean, there are a lot of visible marks, but they're very light, and it doesn't come through very much on the playback, so that's really cool. So that was a good score, because he gave that to me for a lovely price, because you can pay up to 3 figures or maybe more for this one. So that's another little wee hole in my 1970s New Zealand collection. I mean, there are a lot of New Zealand 70s records that I'm not that interested in and not that good. And some of them I see in the shop. Some of the ones I have are not that good, actually. There's a couple I may end up selling because, you know, I'm not into them. But there are some really cool stuff. There is a lot of cool stuff. And I still got a want list of probably a dozen or so records from the 70s that I know of that I really would like, but most of them are way out of my league. If you know, some of them are getting up to $1,000. I'm quite happy to buy reissues if they come out. So another one off Trade Me, I just picked up Tamberlane. This is their second LP, 1973. So this is really quite folk rock. This is Crosby, Stills and Nash. Really, really indebted to Crosby, Stills and Nash, really. But this is a really good record. I'm really enjoying it. And I picked it up for a reasonable price. I think it was over 3 figures. Yes, it was over 3 figures. But, yeah, unfortunately, that's what you're paying for these. There are some reissues, but they're pretty hard to find too. So, really pleased to find that. Finally, I jumped on this, and this cropped up from Bandcamp, and I thought it was a new release, but it turns out it's actually not. We Will Ride Fast, the Maelstrom. See, all that writing's back to front to me, so I can't see it very easily, but this is a lathe cut record. Now, I knew it was a lathe cut record, but it said lathe cut to vinyl on the Bandcamp page, and so I thought I'd give it a go. Now, I don't think it is, because according to Discogs, this is a Peter King lathe cut. I thought it was an Electric Johnny lathe cut. Electric Johnny is doing lathe cuts now in Christchurch. Peter King is retired. He's closed down shop now. He's not doing any more lathe cuts. He was getting a bit old and he was not too well. He cut to polycarbonate. I had picked up almost unintentionally a couple of lathe cuts that I bought, which I didn't realise were lathe cuts. And they don't play very well, they don't sound very good, and they jump and they skip and they're staticky and they're not very good at all. And a few people have said that over the years. And I thought this was a new release, and I thought it was on vinyl. It's what it says on vinyl. I'm pretty sure it's not. Discogs says it's a Peter King lathe cut. I've played it once and it sounds bloody terrible. Really, really muffled sounding, and it jumped and skipped in a couple of places. I've given it a clean. I'll give it another play. So a bit disappointed with that. 25 copies made, so obviously going to be collectible perhaps. These guys put out a record last year which was quite good on blue vinyl. I've got that, a proper vinyl release. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with that. Of course I can't listen to it on Bandcamp, but the guy in the band, he did send me this, and the CD's not in here, but he did this little EP, We Will Ride Fast, Bulletproof, The Grinding. I think it's got 5 tracks on it. 1, 2 on that side. 3 tracks. Looks like it. So this was last year. Anyway, he sent me this with a nice little note. 8 copies made. It's a CD-ROM. So yeah, he did it as part of an... I'm not sure what he said. I'll get the piece of paper actually. Hang on. He sent me this lovely little note. Hi Rodney, I've added the CDR in the mix for you. There are only 8 in existence, and they were made as part of a screen print and packaging course that I teach. Check out the glow-in-the-dark ink. Cheers. So there you go. At least that sounds a little bit better quality-wise than the other one, than the record. But yeah, 8 copies. Wow, that's pretty cool. So, bit disappointed with this. Going to have to see what it plays now that I've cleaned it, if it plays any better. But I'm pretty sure that's a lathe cut on polycarb. I'm pretty sure, especially if it's a Peter King one, as it said. To be honest, I can't find any information on the record that says Peter King. Let me just have a quick check. No, so I'm not sure how the person who put it on Discogs knew it was a Peter King, unless it was the guy who owned it. So that's it. That's me. There's not a lot of records in the post at the moment, really. I've got a couple of pre-orders that I'm still waiting on. But yeah, I'm just taking it pretty easy on the vinyl buying. So, like I say, it is, what is it? It's late February, second half of February now. So, yeah, not a lot happening this year. Gigs aren't happening in March. A lot of gigs getting cancelled. Omicron's just about to explode in New Zealand. We had 1,500 cases today. So yeah, it's just on the pick up. But most of us are vaccinated. I had my booster shot just a week or so ago. Yeah. So hopefully, even though I still don't want to get the damn thing because it's still not nice to have it. But yeah. Anyway, look, I shall move on and see you again next time. So happy vinyl hunting, guys. See ya.